Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here. Instead of streaming today, this is October 19th. Instead of streaming today, I'm going to be recording some matches. I'm doing some testing for the Legacy Premier League, and I saw a couple of really interesting deck lists. So I'm probably going to record about 2 leagues worth of stuff, try to get a feel for some of these deck lists, see if they're any good. The first is a mono red Stompy deck, essentially. There's actually very few prison elements here. It's mostly just to get them dead deck. This version is built around tokens. So you have, in addition to the normal stuff, you have Hanawar Garrison, which it makes 2 humans when it attacks. You have Seasoned Pyromancer, that when it enters the battlefield, you discard 2 and draw 2. For each non-land you discard, you get an elemental. And then you can pay 5 and exile it from your graveyard to make 2 elementals. It also has Idol of Oblivion. You tap to draw a card, activate it only if you've made a token this turn, and you can also pay 8 mana and sacrifice it to make a 10/10 Eldrazi token. We have Embercleave. Costs 1 less for each attacking creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, you get to attach it to a creature. The equipped creature has +1/+1, double strike, and trample. Kind of the ideal being, you have a huge Goblin Rabblemaster, someone tries to jump block it, and you go, aha, got him, and you take him out. We also have is it Angrath? Angrath, Captain of Chaos. You can amass 2 and make essentially a 2/2 army token when you minus it, but you're really playing this so that creatures you control have menace and you can just push through a lot of damage. We're going to try out this deck list and just kind of see how it feels. I'm not entirely convinced this is good, but I think it 5-0'd, so I want to give this a try and see if this has legs. No, we're not going to play the Legacy Challenge with this deck list. Just a regular Legacy League, please. Yeah, metagaming for the Legacy Premier League is really weird. So, for example, since we're in a 4-person pod, and I'm a very, very, very well-known Death and Taxes pilot, can I reasonably actually play that deck if people can gear hate towards beating it? And I think the answer is probably no, Julian got moved into my pod, and if he just plays elves, that's a buy for him. So I need to try out some alternative deck lists and see how they feel. Yeah, this makes a turn 1 Blood Moon. I am in. Unfortunate. I'm gonna have to imprint this Embercleave. I really wanted to go and try that card out, see how good it was. Alright. You have a Bob. So, we're potentially playing against either Loam that has a depth package. We could be playing against some sort of junk mid-range deck. We could... Whatever deck we're playing against is something of that general nature. And the Blood Moon is going to be very strong here. We also could just be playing against a depths deck that just has Bobs in the main. To be totally honest with you, I kind of want to keep Embercleave since we drew Goblin Rabblemaster. But Goblin Rabblemaster gets Punishing Fired and Hanawar Garrison doesn't, so that's relevant. Non-artifact, non-land. Okay, that's something really important to learn about early on. And this is why you You playtest things before playing in a big event that matters. Hasn't come up before that I've had a red artifact, so I wasn't really aware of that side of Chromux. That's unfortunate. So now my opponent has access to both of their colors. Oh, my Amber Cleave. So the good news is we have basically confirmed that my opponent is on traditional depths. So we have that piece of information now. The bad news is that we're potentially just like one abrupt decay away from death at any given moment. I don't think my opponent can attack with their Bob here. They probably will trade it with the Rabblemaster. And I think I will make that trade. It'll still leave me with 2 points of damage a turn from the goblins, plus another 2 from the Spirit Guide that's in my hand. Oh, interesting. So this can get them a Dark Depths, and then they're just going to need to decay the Blood Moon. There's a decay. So I will need to lethal my opponent this turn. Which I'm not sure that I have the capacity to do outside of maybe Ember Cleave? Maybe Angrath? Yeah, so now we're just gonna die to Merilage. That's pretty unfortunate. Alright. So we'll probably want Scab Clans for damage. We'll probably... The pile of things that I would consider boarding is right here. I don't think this is going to be a grind them out game. I don't think we need this 4-drop. Probably don't need this 4-drop either. Honestly, I'll probably just lower my curve as much as possible. This would leave me with 64 cards, so this is going to be too many. And I obviously don't want to board all of these things. When I'm on the play, Trinisphere is pretty reasonable. It's pretty bad when I'm on the draw. Chalice is kind of medium. Maybe the Thought-Knots are still too slow, even though they are disruptive. Like, I really want to do one of these on turn 1 or 2, if at all possible. I'm going to junk my Trinispheres. The thing about playing against depths is that if you put a Trinisphere in play, they can just continue to make land drops and perform around that card relatively easily. I can make a turn 1 Chalice on 1 and have a turn 2 Abrade. This is a pretty medium hand, but I think it's good enough to keep. Abrade is here specifically for Mox Diamond. And having the ability to turn to that while also having like a very powerful must-be-answered card as a follow-up is, I think, strong enough. This hand also gets markedly better very quickly if I draw a Soul Land, or even another mountain. Braid looking pretty good here. I like the cards that are in my hand. So we're not going to Season Pyromancer and discard my bridge. So this attacks for 4, then 6, then 8. Okay, so if my opponent crop rotations, no, they can't crop rotation right now, so I'm not in danger of dying immediately. That being said, do I still just want to play this Ensnaring Bridge so that I can Season Pyromancer later? I think I do. Let's just put this safety net up here. Like it's not stopping my creatures from attacking here, even through some sort of Thought Seize effect. Now they can't do that because of the Chalice right now, but just keeping that in mind. So now we'll play our Seasoned Pyromancer, and totally fine with looting away both of these cards, trying to find something that's a little bit stronger. Actually, that was a misplay. I should have Chromox imprinted the Spirit Guide, because I could just, like, if I don't discard the cards, I could have just drawn the cards. So that was an error on my end. And again, not gonna play a land, so that even if my opponent manages to somehow, like, cast a discard spell and take my bridge, all my creatures can still attack. It's hard to tell, but it seems like that Chalice did an absolute ton of work that game. We'll submit as is. There's at least some degree of consideration of swapping things up when I'm on the draw. But I think the plan of just get them dead as quickly as possible while trying to do some amount of disruption is where I want to be. This is a great hand. I'll get to lead on either Spyglass or Chalice of the Void, depending on how things look. And then I can deploy the other the following turn. Yeah, absolutely going to keep this one. This will be a good follow-up play as well. Now, which one of these do I want to play? Whichever one I don't play is somewhat likely to be Thoughtseized the following turn. Unless I Chalice first. So let's do that. Yeah, another Bob. That's very good for them. There's a tension here between being afraid of just dying to a 20/20 and just losing out to Bobs. I'm going to hope that I can invalidate a lot of what the Bobs are doing with this Chalice of the Void. Try to ignore them for another turn. I probably need to shut off the Thespian stage. Oh, yet another Bob. Okay. So I'm going to do something that looks a little weird. I'm going to throw away a land here. I have 2 more City of Traders, but if I draw a natural mountain next turn, it's so much better to have, like, played a mountain for sort of like the 3 or 4 turns down the line sorts of scenarios. So the Hex Mage isn't castable yet, so my Chalice of the Void is still doing some work. Oh, right, the Airboard. Never mind. It is castable. That means I get to Bob as well. And I don't have something like Fiery Confluence as an out to wipe this board. I think this one has officially slipped away. Is my out now bleed my opponent to death with their own bobs? Because, like, if I abrade one, I take 6, I go to 8. If I block another, I lose a creature, go down to 4. Yeah, it might be more realistic. To try and put a Rabble Master on the board and see if we can steal this game. Because I don't think we're on the right side of the equation right now. But if my opponent, like, takes 5 or 6 damage here. Alright, there we go. There's hope. The problem here is that due to their Urborg, they can do some gross things to me. So my hope is that they crash in for 8 here. Shit. I really need them to crash in for 8. That way I can kill the Elvish Reclaimer, get in for a lot of damage, and then try to kill them with their bobs. This is also assuming that they just, for some reason, don't Assassin's Trophy my Rabble Master. We're just... If I had another red card, we could make this turn pop. But we don't. So if my opponent was going to do this, it would be better to do it pre-combat. And I know they can't flip 10 worth of stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and concede this one here. Womp womp. We'll try again.